What's up, beautiful people? It is me, Rachel the Equipper. Welcome back to another episode on Blossoming into Righteousness radio show. Today's radio show is going to be a little bit different because I want to share with you what the Lord revealed to me during my study time with Him. He reminded me of Matthew, the 5th chapter, verse 13, where it says, "You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? It is then good for nothing but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men." In verse 16, he reminds us, Jesus says, "Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." The Lord is putting you on display. And the reason why God is putting you on display is because you have sat in His presence, you've done the work, and God is saying He is pleased. He is pleased and He is ready for you to move forward. He is ready for you to branch out. He is ready for you to go amongst the people and do what He has fashioned you and purposed you to do. This is your season. It is your time. God is saying, this is your opportunity to go and be. Go and be. But remember, choose Christ. In all of your ways and all of your actions, choose Christ. That time that you spent with God in the quiet time, where it was just you and Him, in that wilderness place where it was just you and Him, where He did the work on the inside of you, God is saying He is pleased. He is pleased, and it is time for you to go out and represent Him. When you do the works that God has called you to do, when you walk in your purpose, God is glorified. When you have a humble spirit and you do things from a place of love, God is glorified. The things that we go through and that we have to deal with in life had nothing to do with us. It's all about God receiving His glory through us, His chosen vessels. His chosen vessels. And you and I, we have an opportunity to go out and to be used by God for the upbuilding of His kingdom, for God to be glorified. The challenges that we face, the trials and tribulations that we go through, it's all for God to be glorified. In the secret place where the work was done, the Lord fashioned you. He did a beautiful work on the inside of you, where He began to do a work in you, so that way the fruits of the Spirit that reside on the inside of you could come forth. And in Galatians, the 5th chapter, we learn what the fruits of the Spirit are. In Galatians 5, verse 22, it says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. And those who are Christ have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not become conceited, provoking one another and envying one another." The work that you've done in the secret place, God is saying that He had to fashion you so that way you weren't desiring the lust and the pleasures of the world. He had to do a work on the inside of your heart where He had to remove the idols from your heart, because He doesn't want you to fall into the traps of the enemy that the enemy has set along your journey with hopes that you will fall into. But in order for you to be sustained, in order for you to remain in this place that God is calling you to, it requires you to remain in the counsel of the Lord. And what that simply looks like is, don't forget to seek God first. Don't forget to wake up in the morning and to give God your first. Render God your first. Ask God to do a work on your schedule, to where that you're waking up earlier in the morning and you are delivering your first fruits unto God. And when you go to God, you're going to God and you're saying to the Lord, "Lord, I want to thank you." You're entering into His gates with thanksgiving and into His courts with praise, according to Psalm 100, verse 5. Because we understand that when we enter into God's gates with thanksgiving, into praise, with thanks and praise, that we are exalting God. We are magnifying God. We are giving God the praise that He is due. We understand that we are coming to God with understanding of as who He is, as to who He is. He is God the Creator. He is the Heavenly Father. And when we live in Him, when we breathe in Him, When we move in him, we understand that we're not operating from a place of self, a place of flesh, but we are submitted. We are submitted to the will of God. And in this place, God is saying, I need for you to surrender. I need for you to submit, to remain submitted, to remain surrendered, according to Romans, the 12th chapter. Verse 1, where it says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. God is saying, I need for you to stand out. I don't need for you to fit in. And as long as we remain in God's word, as long as we remain in prayer, as long as we remain fasting, we're dying to the flesh and we're choosing to put God's will first. We're choosing to seek God for his will. Because according to Hebrews 11:6, but without faith it's impossible to please him. For he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Whatever it is that you desire, whatever it is that you want, whatever it is that you need, as you continue to pursue God, as you continue to walk in your journey, in your purpose, on your journey, in your purpose, you must know that seeking God for his will, his desire, his way, that God will reward you. He will reward you. And sometimes people have a tendency of seeking God for material reward, but let's desire spiritual reward. Let's desire more peace. Let's desire more closeness with God. Let's desire an elevation in who he is, knowing knowledge of who he is, because wisdom, the wisdom that God gives, the wisdom that we should desire should not be the wisdom of this world, but the wisdom that God gives to us, that only God can give to us. God is purposeful and he is divine. He is purposeful. He is divine. Bless your name, Jesus. Bless your name, Jesus. And I just want to pause for a moment and I want to just give God the thanks for the opportunity to be able to be a part of WDRB Media, where I can share my testimony, where the Lord gave me this radio show, where I can declare the goodness of God. Only God can do that. Only God can open doors that no man can shut. Only God can do that. Only God. And I want to, I want to encourage you today. Do more time just giving God thanks. Give God thanks. No matter where you may find yourself, give God thanks. There is power in your praise unto God. God is creator, and everything that God is doing, it's all working for your good. It doesn't feel good, but I want you to know that it is working for your good. It is truly working for your good. And for those of you who are in the Augusta area and in Augusta, Georgia, I want to invite you to meet me and fellowship with me at the Uptown Augusta Library beginning this weekend, November 23rd, December 7th, and December 21st. Doors were open at 11. No, we're going to begin at 11 a.m. for a one-day workshop where we're going to talk about setting boundaries. We're going to talk about identifying values, because the goal is to eliminate distractions. The workshop is titled Eliminate Distractions. Eliminate distractions. There are so many distractions in our lives that keep us off course from being able to achieve our goals. They keep us going in circles. They keep us falling short. They keep us imbalanced and unorganized. And it's time for us to set boundaries in our lives. So whatever it is that we are desiring to achieve, we can achieve them. You can achieve them. You can, whatever is on your objectives, whatever things you say, you know what, I'm going to get this task done. I want to write this book. I want to start this movie. I want to clean this area in my house. I want to organize these things over here. Whatever it is that you're wanting to do, it's time to set boundaries. And I want to help you to set those boundaries based on your values and your beliefs, so that way you can achieve all that you desire and what it is that you are purposed to do. But you must first eliminate the distraction. And before you can eliminate the distraction, you have to first identify where they're coming from. Because sometimes we don't know where these distractions are coming from. We don't know. And we are in a season of preparation. We're preparing to build God's kingdom right here within the earth. And God has purposed you to so much more, to be so much greater. And I just want to encourage you to not stay where you're at, but to have a desire to move forward, have a desire to elevate, have a desire to grow, have a desire to say, you know what? This is not my story. I refuse to accept this as my story. I refuse to remain in bondage. I refuse to remain stuck. I refuse to remain defeated. I refuse. Your mindset has to be a mindset of I refuse. You have to look in the mirror every day and tell yourself, I choose me. I choose me. I choose my spiritual growth. I choose my spiritual elevation. I choose me. I choose me. And if you are ready to choose you, ready to elevate, ready to grow, ready to get undistracted, then I cannot wait to meet you November 23rd, December 7th, or December 21st at the Uptown Augusta Library in Augusta, Georgia. The address is 823 Telefair Street. And we're going to meet at 11 a.m. We're going to start at 11 a.m. for the one-day workshop, Eliminate Distractions. It is free. Not only is it free, but you're going to also get a free copy of my book, But I'm Distracted, when you come. How exciting is that? We will be in the third floor meeting room, upstairs, third floor meeting room, Uptown Augusta Library, 11 a.m., November 23rd, December 7th, and December 21st. I will be there, and I cannot wait to see you there. I am Rachel the Equipper, and you are listening to Blossoming into Righteousness radio show.